When you think of good spoof films or parody films or satire films, what comes to your mind? Spaceballs? The Naked Gun trilogy? Young Frankenstein? History of the World Part 1? Top Secret? The Hot Shots movies? You know, the classic spoof films. The spoof films that were actually funny and had good jokes, good gags, and just all around funny and good humor. As opposed to today's spoof films, you know, like the ones with movie on it, the ones directed by Jason Friedberg or Friedberg, whatever you call it, or Aaron Seltzer. Movies like Date Movie, Epic Movie, Disaster Movie, Meet the Spartans, Vampires Suck. Those are just horrid, horrid movies. Back in the day, we had good spoof films. The movies like Spaceballs, the Naked Gun trilogy, and stuff like that that I already mentioned had really funny moments and good writing and a good plot. Nowadays, with the more recent ones, you see mostly references. Now, the classic ones had some references too, but they didn't abuse it like the more recent ones from Friedberg and Seltzer. Oh my god, those spoof films are filled with references, and references. It just gets annoying after a while. It just stops being funny. There's like a Star Wars reference, a Spider-Man reference, a Batman reference, a porn reference in movies like Epic Movie, Disaster Movie. Oh my god, that is just horrid. I miss the good spoof films. I mean, sure, you do get some good ones once in a while, like Kung Pao and Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, you know, stuff like that. Even like the last Austin Powers movie, even though that movie started around '97, when spoofs were actually good. But the whole spoof genre has really fallen for the most part. And it's thanks to the people who, you know, who started the whole movie franchise. You know, this whole thing started with Scary Movie. I will say, the first two Scary movies were pretty funny, because they had the Wayans brothers involved in the creation of the movies. And they were well written, they were funny. They had their references here and there, but they didn't abuse it like in the more recent ones. But then, you know, after the Wayans brothers left, the Scary Movie franchise got progressively worse as the years went by. 3 and 4 just weren't as good. It just got less funny. And then came the spin-off, starting with Date Movie, and then an Epic Movie, and then Disaster Movie, and then Meet the Spartans, and then Vampires Suck. And, you know, I was really disappointed with Vampires Suck because I was really hoping it would be good. Because, you know, I hate Twilight with a passion like most people do. But damn, they really dropped the ball on that. How could you fuck up a parody that was just so easy to do? My god. Only Friedberg and Seltzer could do that shit. And then there's another one called The 41-Year-Old Virgin Who Knocked Up Sarah Marshall or something like that. It's like a really long-ass title. It combines a 40-year-old virgin, Superbad, Knocked Up. Let's see, Sarah Marshall. I think it's called The 41-Year-Old Virgin Who Knocked Up Sarah Marshall and Felt Super Bad About It. Yeah, that's the name. That's a long-ass title. And oh my god, that is definitely worse than the Friedberg and Seltzer movies. It's on par, if not worse. Oh. They have so much shitty references, like it's annoying. Man, what happened to good spoofs? You know, we need to bring Mel Brooks back. I know the animated Spaceballs cartoon wasn't really that great when it aired on G4, but honestly, I'll take that shit over anything Friedberg and Seltzer churn out. I'm being honest right now. the Spaceballs cartoon, even that is better than any of the recent, you know, spoof films that came out recently. It's not saying a whole lot, but still. But I'd rather have Mel Brooks back making spoofs. But it is what it is. I also heard Superhero Movie was good from some people, but I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, there's not that, ever since the new millennium entered, the 2000s, we haven't seen that many good spoofs. We've seen like a Goldmember, the last Austin Powers movie, even though it wasn't as good as the previous two. We had Kung Pao. We had Shaun of the Dead. We had Hot Fuzz. Maybe there's a few more that I'm not mentioning right now. Oh, Soul Plane. Even though I much prefer Airplane. That's another one. Airplane was another fucking classic. Airplane kicked ass. I mean, Soul Plane wasn't as funny. It was nowhere near as funny, but it wasn't nearly as bad as what Freeberg and Seltzer put out. There's also Dance Flick from the Wayans Brothers. I haven't checked that out, though. Maybe it's good. But yeah, like I said, most of the good spoof films are from back in the 80s and 90s, maybe some from the 70s, stuff like that. Those are some of the best spoofs you're gonna see. I highly recommend, you know, seeing those if you haven't seen them. They make you laugh your ass off. They're just too damn funny. I mean, I've seen those movies like a bajillion times. I'm a huge fan of those movies. Spaceballs needs no introduction. It's a classic. It's the best Star Wars parody I've ever seen. The Naked Gun trilogy, rest in peace Leslie Nielsen. He's probably one of the funniest comedians and actors of all time. There's other Mel Brooks movies like History of the World Part 1, hysterical movie. Young Frankenstein, that's a classic. Silent Movie, another one I recommend. Too funny. Top Secret, I think I mentioned that. Airplane, although I'm not sure, I don't think the sequel, Airplane 2, the sequel wasn't as good as Airplane 1. But I loved the shit out of Airplane 1. I've seen it a bajillion times and it never gets old. Let's see what else. Fatal Instinct is another one. The one that's a parody of Basic Instinct and Fatal Attraction from like the early 90s. And there's another one starring Leslie Nielsen called Spy Hard. That's a great one. That is another funny movie. Oh, and National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. I like that one. Even though, you know, my friend William Howell reviewed it in his Movies from the Bowels of Satan blogs. I'm sorry to disagree with you, Will, but I like that movie. I'll take that over any of the more recent ones. They actually, at least that movie had, you know, good humor, good jokes, and compared to the Friedberg and Seltzer shit that had references, all abused to death. But yeah, we're never gonna see good spoof films again. It's sad, but it is what it is. I'm Allie-RX, and I tell it like it is.